I still remember the sharp sound of my mother-in-law's heels striking our hardwood floor, each step slicing through the tension in the room as she approached my husband, Oliver. The rich aroma of moussaka, the dish I'd painstakingly prepared for hours, clung to the air, my silent plea for her approval. My stomach clenched, nerves spiraling. At 6 weeks, the morning sickness was brutal, but I hadn't told a soul, not even Oliver. That was when the night took a sudden and painful turn. Emma, my mother-in-law, always the viper in silk, placed her hand on Oliver's shoulder, whispering venom into his ear. I saw his expression shift from calm to fury in just a few seconds. The sweet blue eyes I had once trusted now looked past me, cold and full of accusation. "Is this true?" he barked, pushing back his chair so hard it screeched against the hardwood. "Have you been lying this whole time?" Before I could speak, his hand lashed out, faster than thought. The force of the slap sent me reeling, my balance stolen in an instant. I staggered, bracing myself against the chair, my cheek ablaze with pain. The room swirled, dizzy and spinning, as tears blurred my vision. That's when it hit me. The nausea I'd been battling all night surged. Right there, in front of both of them, I doubled over and vomited. Oliver recoiled in disgust, then stopped cold, his eyes catching on my spilled purse. Lying in plain sight was a positive pregnancy test. The color drained from his face. "Chloe, are you—" he faltered, voice cracking. I cradled my aching cheek, the tears unstoppable now. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm pregnant. I wanted tonight to be special. That's why I made your favorite." The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Oliver stared at the pregnancy test, then down at the hand that had just struck the woman carrying his child. Emma stood motionless, her scarlet lips pressed into a hard line, but even she couldn't hide the flicker of shock in her eyes. "Oh my God," Oliver whispered, his voice barely more than a breath, trembling. "Chloe, I—" He reached out, but I recoiled, instinctively pulling away. The man who once vowed to love and protect me had just raised his hand against me and our unborn child. In that moment, watching my husband wrestle with the horror of what he'd just done, I knew nothing about our lives would ever return to what it was. The secret I had dreamed of revealing with love had exploded into the open amidst pain and betrayal. And now I stood at a crossroads. Could I ever trust him again? Could I forgive the man who broke not only my heart, but my sense of safety? And more urgently, could I stay with someone capable of harming both me and our unborn child? A sudden creak of the front door made all three of us jolt. Sophia, our kind next-door neighbor, appeared in the doorway, her face etched with worry. "I heard shouting," she said slowly, scanning the room, my flushed cheek, Oliver's stunned expression, and Emma standing like a statue. "Is everything all right?" I knew nothing was even close to okay, and it wouldn't be for a very long time. I still remember the day I met Oliver, as vividly as if it happened yesterday. It was a breezy Thursday afternoon at a small coffee shop in Colorado. I was buried in grading papers, the usual ritual of a third-grade teacher with math quizzes and messy spelling tests. And that's when he, a complete stranger then, spilled his latte all over my students' homework. And his frantic, clumsy attempts to rescue the papers made me burst out laughing. "I swear I'm not usually this hopeless," he stammered, blotting the papers with napkins like a man trying to stop a flood. "Please let me make it up to you. Coffee? Or maybe dinner." That's how it all began, innocent, unexpected, and utterly perfect. Oliver seemed like everything I'd ever dreamed of. He was successful, yet humble, witty but grounded, and the way he looked at me, like I was the most captivating woman in the world, made me believe in magic. Our first year of marriage felt like a dream. We bought a cozy little house with a modest backyard. We whispered late-night dreams about children, and we spent weekends sketching our future with laughter and coffee. Then Emma moved in. "It's only temporary, sweetheart," Oliver had reassured me. "Mom's struggling with the divorce. She just needs us right now." I tried to be compassionate. I really did. But Emma had a gift for turning my sanctuary into a stage where I was always the villain. Nothing I did passed her silent judgment. The house never met her invisible standards. My way of seasoning meals never pleased her. She made it clear I didn't know how to properly look after her beloved boy. "Oliver's under so much stress," she'd sigh dramatically as I packed his lunch. "He needs real meals, not snacks. When I cooked for him—" At first, Oliver's shift in attitude was barely noticeable. He began nitpicking things he once said he loved: how I arranged his laundry, the meals I prepared, my evening phone calls with my sister. Every complaint seemed to echo whispers I'd overheard between him and Emma. When I saw the positive test 3 weeks ago, I wanted to cry, but not from joy. Instead, dread crept in. I masked my nausea, blaming school lunch for my sudden dashes to the restroom. I'd planned to tell Oliver before anyone else. That night, the night everything cracked, I had finally gathered the courage. But Emma invited herself to our dinner again. "We should eat together as a family," she declared. While preparing dinner, I overheard her hissing into her phone. "She's up to something. I can feel it. Wouldn't surprise me if she's cheating. Oliver deserves better." As I stood frozen in the dining room, Sophia staring at the scene, my hand instinctively shielded my belly. The life growing inside me was worth more than this chaos. I finally understood I couldn't keep living like this. "Chloe," Oliver said softly, taking a hesitant step closer. I didn't know she said that. "You have to believe me." But Sophia stood between us before he could come closer. "She's not staying here tonight," she stated clearly. "Let her breathe, Oliver. This isn't about you right now." As we stepped into the hallway, Emma's voice rang out. "Oliver, honey, she's being emotional. It's the hormones," she insisted. The door shut behind us, cutting off Emma mid-sentence, but the cracks had already splintered beyond repair. The illusion of my perfect life collapsed that night, and I stood in the ruins, unsure of where to begin. The following days at Sophia's place blurred into exhaustion. Tears, morning sickness, and ignoring Oliver's constant calls. Sophia, bless her, handled everything without asking questions. She returned to my place to grab my essentials, called my school to arrange my medical leave, and held my hair when the nausea hit hardest. "That place doesn't feel like home anymore, Chloe," Sophia said one morning, sliding a mug of ginger tea to me. "It's been going downhill for months. We've all seen it." I cupped the steaming mug with both hands, thinking back to how everything shifted when Emma moved in. It began subtly. She'd reorganize my cabinets, insisting it was to help me. She'd drop remarks about my figure, pretending it was out of concern. But watching her slowly change, Oliver hurt the most. "Do you remember last month?" Sophia said softly. "When Oliver missed your sister's wedding because Emma claimed she was too nervous to stay home alone?" I gave a small nod, that old heaviness returning to my chest. He hadn't even stopped to wonder. Just rang my sister and spun some excuse, while Emma sat smugly behind him, satisfied. Oliver's endless messages looped like a stuck song on the radio. I didn't mean to hurt you. Just come home. I'll fix everything. I promise. But alongside his apologies came Emma's accusations. You're destroying what we've built. Oliver's heartbroken because you won't stop making scenes. A devoted wife would have gone back and tried to fix things. A week after everything unraveled, I had my initial prenatal checkup. Sophia was by my side, her hand in mine, as the doctor confirmed I was 6 weeks pregnant. The rhythmic thump of my baby's heartbeat echoed through the room, clear and strong. Tears spilled down my face, joy laced with grief. Because this should have been a moment I shared with Oliver, it was supposed to be something I shared with my husband, like we once imagined with Lily. Should I record it for you? Sophia asked softly. I just nodded, my throat too tight to respond. That night, I sat on the guest bed in Emma's house, eyes fixed on my phone. I had sworn I wouldn't reach out to Oliver, but that heartbeat stirred something I couldn't ignore. My fingers shook as I sent him the recording with only a few words. Your baby's heartbeat. He replied almost instantly. Please, can we meet? Just the two of us. No mom. I stared at myself in the mirror above Sophia's dresser. The bruise on my cheek had faded, turning that ugly shade of greenish yellow. But the fear in my eyes hadn't faded at all. Could I really look him in the eye again? Should I even try? My phone buzzed again, jolting me from my thoughts. This time, the name on the screen made my stomach drop. Emma. How dare you send that to him without consulting me first? I'm his mother. I deserve to be involved. These decisions are not yours to make alone. Something deep inside me broke free. 3 long years of biting my tongue, of dancing around her moods, of watching my husband morph into her obedient puppet. And finally, it boiled over. I typed a message I'd rehearsed in my head 100 times. You do not get a say in anything that concerns my baby. You never did, and you never will. I blocked her before she had a chance to reply. Just minutes later, Oliver's name lit up my phone screen. This time, I didn't hesitate. I answered. She's crossed a line, he said, his voice tight with emotion, before I could say a word. She was bragging on the phone, Chloe, telling her friends she rescued me from some made-up affair. It was all lies, and God, I believed her. I raised my hand to you because of her poison. His voice cracked under the weight of shame. I could hear him crying on the other end. You need to make a choice, Oliver, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Either your mother is out of that house, or I'm out of your life. And if I walk away, I won't be walking alone. I'll be seeking full custody. I refuse to raise our child in a house haunted by violence. The silence that followed was so heavy, I thought he'd left me hanging. Finally, his voice broke through the silence. Can we meet tomorrow? At the place where it all began. She won't be there. I swear it on everything. I just need to look you in the eye, Chloe, to say what I should have said long ago. I placed a hand on my belly, still flat, but full of promise. Okay, I murmured. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. But Oliver, if she even steps through that door, we're finished. For good. She won't. I promise you, Chloe. This is about us now. I'm choosing you now, Chloe, and I'll keep choosing you every single day. I ended the call with trembling fingers, uncertain if trust could be rebuilt. But for the tiny life growing inside me, I had to find the courage to try. I stood, leaving Carol's protective presence behind, every step toward the unknown, trembling beneath my feet. I reached coffee shop 15 minutes early, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last. The comforting scent of roasted coffee, Once my sanctuary, now twisted my stomach into knots. I picked the table closest to the exit, just in case I needed to run. Sophia waited in her car across the street, engine running, eyes locked on the entrance. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door chimed like fate calling time. Oliver entered alone, just like he said, but that didn't stop my breath from catching. He looked wrecked, unkempt, eyes hollow, still wearing the wrinkled blue shirt from that awful night. My muscles locked as he drew near, instincts bracing for fight or flight, but he halted just short of the table, as if afraid to shatter the fragile ground beneath us. "May I sit?" he asked, voice low, weighted with regret. I gave a quiet nod, eyes never leaving his, as he sank into the chair across from me. His gaze dropped to my belly, then quickly flicked away, as if burned by guilt. "She's gone," he said, his voice rough. "I told her to leave last night. She's at a hotel now." I clutched my lukewarm tea like it could anchor me. "That easy?" I asked, not hiding the disbelief in my voice. "No," he said, voice heavy. "She screamed like her world was ending, cried, accused me of betrayal. Said I chose a—" He stopped, jaw tight. "Number I won't give her words that power. I packed her things," he said, and told her, "Go willingly, or I'll make it official with a badge." A couple nearby paused mid-sip, curiosity flickering in their eyes. I leaned in, voice hushed but sharp. "Why now, Oliver?" I asked. "Why not when she first cut me down in front of you?" "Because I looked in the mirror that night," he said hoarsely, "and I saw her." His words broke apart, fragile and shaking. "When I raised my hand to you, I stepped into her shadow, controlling, cruel, blind to truth." He scrubbed at his face like he could erase what he'd done. "I hear it every night," he whispered. "Your head hitting the wall. It won't stop." And then, when I saw that test, he murmured, broken. His chest hitched with a silent sob he tried to swallow. The barista's voice cut through the air, sharp and ordinary, making me flinch. Oliver saw it, my instinctive fear, and recoiled like he'd been slapped. "I'm afraid of you now," I said, my voice barely audible. "Do you realize what that means? I'm carrying your child, and I flinch when you move." "You should be," he murmured, voice laced with shame. "There's no defense for what I did. None. But I swear to you, Chloe, it won't happen again. Not ever. I've already started therapy. First session's done. Tomorrow begins the real work. I need to dig deep, figure out how I let her puppet me, how I let myself become someone I hate." I inhaled slowly, grounding myself before speaking. "I have terms," I said, steel finally surfacing in my tone. "And they're non-negotiable." He leaned in, urgency in every movement. "Name it," he said. "Anything." "Emma never comes near our child. No visits, no holidays, not even a picture. She gets nothing. No name, no photos, no updates. As far as she's concerned, this baby doesn't exist." "Done," he said without hesitation, his voice laced with regret and determination. "You stay in therapy, and we go to couples counseling, weekly, no excuses. And if you ever lay a hand on me again, even once, I'm gone. No talking, no explanations, no redemption. I'll go to the police, Oliver, and I'll fight for full custody with everything I have." Her fingers curled into a tight fist, knuckles white from the force. "I understand," she said, her voice low but unyielding. He pulled out his phone with shaky hands, scrolling to an email as if it were a lifeline. "I've already found a couples therapist," he said, sliding a business card across the table like a peace offering. "This is my lawyer," he continued, She's drawing up documents that grant you full custody. No questions, no court battles. If I ever lay a finger on you again, just one incident, he added quietly. That's all it would take. The papers are already in motion. My fingers shook as I picked up the card, the weight of his words pressing into my chest. You're really doing this? I asked, searching his face for any cracks in his resolve. I love you, Chloe. I love our baby. And I wake up every day hating what I became in that moment. He stared at his hands like they were foreign, like he no longer trusted them. Hearing that tiny heartbeat, he said, voice breaking, I knew I was on the path to becoming a father who brings fear, not safety. And that's not who I want to be. The silence stretched between us, thick with the weight of everything we didn't say. Fear, regret, and a flicker of something like hope. At last, I found my voice. I'm not coming home. Not yet, I said, each word feeling like a boundary I finally had the strength to draw. I need time, space to breathe, and we start therapy before anything else. He nodded quickly, like he'd been holding his breath. Could I come to the next ultrasound? He asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. For the first time since that night, something inside me thawed, a flicker of warmth amid the wreckage. Yes, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. But Sophia comes with you, he added quickly, eager to show he understood. Whatever it takes for you to feel safe again, I'll do it. Sitting across from him, the golden light of late afternoon spilling across our table, I could feel the heaviness of the moment. We'd reached a turning point. The road ahead was murky, lined with counseling appointments and cautious attempts at repair. But for the first time in a while, there was a sense of purpose. The following weeks passed like walking a tightrope, every word measured, every step fragile, yet forward motion existed, even if barely noticeable. Oliver went to therapy twice a week, sending me pictures from his sessions, each one a small proof of his commitment. Dr. Martinez, our couples counselor, guided us through the rebuilding process, mostly in supervised sessions, where we learned how to communicate without Emma's toxic influence looming over us. But Emma wasn't going to let go that easily. Oliver, your mom is outside my classroom again, I texted him on a Monday morning, a familiar sense of dread creeping in. Through the window, I saw her, a familiar figure in her silver Lexus, eyes trained on the school entrance. My third graders were out at recess, but my hands were trembling as I typed. His reply was immediate. Don't move. I'm calling the cops. 15 minutes later, I watched from my classroom window as 2 police officers approached Emma's car. She played the perfect victim. Tears, shaking hands, a concerned mother just worried about her son's marriage. But when they told her to leave, her mask slipped. She's poisoning my son against me. She screamed loud enough for me to hear her through the closed windows. She trapped him with that baby. My classroom aide, Susan, placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. Want me to film this? She whispered. Could be useful for the restraining order. Order, you echoed. I nodded, thankful for her instinct. That night, during therapy, Oliver watched the video in silence. His face collapsed and his eyes filled with disbelief. I didn't see it before, he said quietly. She's exactly the same as when Dad left. The yelling, the accusations, pretending she was the victim. Dr. Martinez nodded gently. Patterns like these often repeat across generations, she said. The cycle of generational abuse is powerful, Dr. Martinez said softly. But Oliver, each time you choose Chloe and your baby, instead of your mother's control, you're disrupting that cycle. You're changing the story. A few days later, we went in for our next prenatal checkup. Sophia drove me there, and Oliver followed in a separate car. It was part of the new boundaries we had agreed on. The sonographer showed us the tiny outline of our baby on the monitor, and Oliver instinctively reached for my hand, for the first time since everything changed. I didn't pull away. "Do you want to find out the gender?" the sonographer asked gently. Oliver glanced at me for permission. I nodded. "You're having a girl," she said with a warm smile. "Congratulations." I instinctively rested my hand over my belly. When our eyes met, I knew he was thinking the same thing I was. Our little girl would grow up never having to fear the place she called home. That evening, as Sophia and I stepped out of the clinic, Emma was already waiting near the car. Oliver moved fast, placing himself protectively between us before I could say a word. "You need to leave," he said, voice firm, "or I'll have no choice but to call the police again." "She's my granddaughter. I deserve to know," Janet cried, her voice high and shaking. "You lost that right the day you manipulated me into hurting her," Oliver said, his tone cold and unshakable. Emma's expression twisted in fury. "I never forced you. She's poisoned your mind, just like your father's did." Sophia stepped forward, holding up her phone. "Security's on their way, and yes, they're calling the cops this time." As the security team arrived, Emma stormed off to her car, shouting over her shoulder, "You'll regret this. She's my grandchild, too." That night, curled up on the bed in Sophia's guest room, I let the tears come. Oliver stayed seated outside my door all night. We weren't ready to share a space again, but he said he'd rather sleep on the floor than let me face the night alone. "I filed for the restraining order," he said through the door. "I filed for the restraining order. For all of us, me, you, and the baby. According to my lawyer, the footage from the school and what happened at the clinic make our case strong." I leaned my forehead gently against the door, feeling his quiet presence on the other side. "I'm so sorry," he murmured, "for all the times I failed you, for letting her come between us, for not standing up for you." "I know you mean it," I replied, voice barely above a whisper. "But there's something important I need you to hear." "Whatever it is, I'm listening," he said. "This isn't about saving us," I said, resting a hand on my stomach. "It's about giving her a better start." I looked down at my belly, feeling her tiny movements. "She deserves a future free of fear and guilt." "You're right," he said softly. "And I promise you, Chloe, our daughter will grow up knowing what it means to be safe, to be loved, truly, unconditionally." For the first time in what felt like forever, I let myself believe him. A week later, the court order was approved. 3 months, renewable, based on behavior. Reading the line, "Emma Matthews is to remain no less than 500 feet away," made it sink in. We were finally taking back control. Oliver and I kept attending individual therapy while also seeing Dr. Martinez together twice a week for joint sessions. Bit by bit, and with no shortage of painful truths, we started unraveling the years of control and emotional conditioning. "Can you remember the first time you realized your mother was affecting how you acted toward Chloe?" Dr. Martinez asked gently. Oliver sighed, running a hand down his face. "It was about 2 months into our marriage. Chloe planned a special dinner for my birthday, put her heart into it. But Mom had taken me out for lunch earlier. She was fully aware of the dinner. Chloe had told her everything. When I got home, She immediately made comments about how Chloe was being wasteful, using pricey ingredients when I'd already eaten. "And what did you do?" Dr. Martinez prompted. I I didn't thank her," he said, avoiding my gaze. "I told her it wasn't smart to spend that much just for one meal. She'd used her own paycheck to make it special, and I dismissed it like it meant nothing. Mom would say Chloe overreacted to things, and slowly I started to believe her, that Chloe was too emotional, too reckless. He, that night, stayed with me. I dumped the entire dinner into the trash, sobbing behind the counter while they laughed at some sitcom like nothing was wrong. "These habits don't disappear overnight," Dr. Martinez said, "but naming them is how we start breaking them." At 5 months pregnant, we agreed it was time for me to return home. Sophia assisted me in packing, hesitation in her voice. "You're really going back?" she asked, smoothing out my maternity dresses. "I'm not sure," I said quietly, "but I owe it to our daughter to try." My hand rested protectively over my belly. The house seemed unfamiliar in the best way. Her presence was gone. No more framed family photos, no more porcelain figurines, no more sticky notes criticizing my habits. Oliver had refreshed the walls with gentle shades of sage and buttercream, tones we'd agreed on for the baby's room. "I replaced the dining table," he murmured. "That old set held too many bad memories." The new one was round and made of warm oak, far from Emma's rigid dark mahogany piece. It felt equal, neutral, ours. Slowly, we carved out new routines. Oliver sent a quick message before heading home, so I could ease into the evening. We started cooking together. Shared meals, shared time. Every choice for the baby, crib, names, routines, was ours alone. No interference. The first test came at 7 months. Emma sent a baby gift to my school, an expensive silver rattle with a note claiming that family heirlooms can't be kept away by restraining orders. Oliver immediately brought it to our attorney. "She's probing," he told him, trying to remind us she hasn't gone away. The silver rattle was sent back through legal channels, along with a formal notice about the restraining order breach. That night, I wept in Oliver's arms. "What if she keeps pushing?" I asked softly. "What if our little girl grows up afraid, always watching her back?" "Then she'll never be alone," he promised. "We'll keep her safe, always. I won't let her down the way I let you down." Dr. Martinez worked with us on a safety plan, coded pickups from daycare, security systems at home, and a list of trusted allies in case of crisis. As my delivery date neared, we braced for the next hurdle: navigating the birth plan without interference. Somehow, Emma had found out the hospital where I planned to give birth. "We have to switch hospitals," Oliver said, handing me his phone. "My mom's already contacted someone there, asking questions." So we made the change, used Sophia's home address, and ensured hospital security and staff were fully briefed on the restraining order. It seemed like a drastic step, but watching Oliver take action to safeguard us made me believe in him again. "You're both putting in the effort," Dr. Martinez said during one of our final sessions before the baby came, "and that makes all the difference." As I looked around our transformed home, the nursery we had designed side by side, the new version of Oliver no longer shadowed by his mother, I finally felt it. Peace. Labor started at 2 a.m. on a quiet Tuesday. Contractions began around 2 a.m. on a peaceful Tuesday morning. Oliver called Sophia right away, then ran through our checklist: hospital bag in hand, infant seat secured, security footage reviewed. Her Mercedes never showed up near the house, not even a shadow of it. The birthing suite was peaceful, nothing like the nightmare scenarios I'd imagined. Oliver never left my side, gripping my hand and gently urging me through every breath. Emma took post outside, a quiet guardian making sure we felt safe. After 12 long hours, our daughter, Lily Grace, arrived. Her first act in the world was a fierce, healthy cry. "She's perfect," Oliver said softly, tears falling freely. "She has your smile already," he added, voice breaking. She embodied everything we'd struggled to defend, every tear, every step forward. The first challenge came earlier than either of us anticipated. A bouquet arrived at the hospital, addressed to my precious first granddaughter, Lily. Oliver stopped it at the nurse's station before it could be delivered. The card inside read, "Family is forever. She'll want her grandmother eventually." He didn't keep it from me. He handed me the card, eyes steady. "No more hiding," he said as he tore it in half. "From now on, we face it all as a team." Security at the hospital increased their patrols. Tom, Sophia's partner, and a cop took night shifts outside our door. We were encircled by care, by people who got what safety really meant for us. Coming home wasn't what I imagined. It was something better. It was real. While I was pregnant, Oliver upgraded everything: new locks, brighter lights, and security cameras at every entrance. But inside those walls, it was peaceful. Just the three of us. "This is home, Lily," I murmured, cradling her as we stepped into the nursery we built with love. The nursery was a haven: soft pastels, shelves of storybooks, plush animals lining the crib, all picked out together. Those first weeks blurred by in a cycle of sleepless nights and quiet bonding moments. Oliver took extra leave from work, showing up for every late night, every small milestone. We shaped our way of parenting. No judgments, no interference, only us learning as we went. During Lily's 1-month checkup, the pediatrician smiled warmly. Being home didn't match the fantasy in my head, but it was better. It felt honest and safe. "She's doing beautifully," the doctor said. "Whatever you two are doing, it's working." That night, in the soft quiet of the nursery, with Lily fast asleep, Oliver reached for my hand. "I ran into my mom today," he said softly. "At the store. I was picking up diapers." My stomach dropped. "What did she do?" "She tried to talk, asked how Lily was." He gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. I walked away immediately, called store security, did exactly what we agreed. I exhaled slowly, the tension easing from my chest. "How did that feel?" I asked softly. "It hurt," he said. "But I'm sure of one thing. Lily will never experience that kind of love. The kind that manipulates, that wounds. Only the kind that heals." At Lily's 1-month checkup, the pediatrician smiled gently. "She's doing beautifully," she said. Looking down at Lily, peacefully asleep in my arms, I knew she was right. The cycle had ended, with us. Our home was no longer ruled by fear. It was led by care, by respect, by love that healed instead of harmed. Lily shifted slightly, letting out a soft sigh in her sleep, those baby sounds that made us smile every time. We sat in silence, just watching her, fingers intertwined. "Thank you," Oliver said quietly. "For what?" I asked. "For not giving up on me, for showing me what love really is, and for her." I rested my head on his shoulder, and for the first time in years, I felt completely safe. "We've made it here," I whispered, "and we'll keep choosing this, every day." For her outside, the last light of day faded, casting gold across our quiet home. A life we had built with grit and grace, and one we'd never take for granted. A life where Lily would grow up knowing security, joy, and love, not control or fear. And for that, every sleepless night, Every painful choice, every step, it was all worth it.